Part 37. Super Role Player. Author, Yuen San Buletinji. Chapter 379. The Wizards slowly controlled the pace of the game, and the 76ers forced to play a fast-paced offense and defense. The problem soon appeared. W.Swimming.Law. Nkaway took possession of the ball, and 11 quickly came out, received Nkaway's pass, and then made a jumper, which hit the iron with a bang. Then, under the leadership of John Wall, the Wizards continued to control the ball steadily, and found a gap through several outside screens. Bradley Beal took a three-pointer and the Wizards scored again, and the point difference became 7-3. The Wizards lead by 4 points. In the 76ers offense, the player with the ball turned into Angzi, a quick breakthrough. After attracting the defense, the ball was divided to Evan Turner. Turner caught the ball and stopped a jumper. Bang! Strike the iron again. The rebound was taken by Masing Gotard. The Wizards were not eager to attack. They waited for the 76ers to return to the defense, and John Wall, who took the ball, slowly controlled the ball to the front court. Then, there was another front court drop, plus the time spent in the second half. The Wizards spent 22 seconds, and finally the insider Masing Gotard singled out Cole Aldridge and hit a turn on the basket. 9:3, the 76ers are in danger. At this time, Angzi's quick shot hit the iron again, and Kenny Smith began to shake his head. The 76ers' quick offense failed again. Although Angzi's shots are accurate, they are not always so accurate, especially this kind of shots without any adjustments. Kenny Smith shook his head, starting from the 76ers' second place. At the beginning of the ball, he felt that the 76ers were too anxious to play the fast offense he wanted, such anxious for success, but gave the Wizards a chance. The Wizards continued to consume time steadily and the offensive end was successful, but this time John Wall missed a mid-range shot and the rebound was taken by Cole Aldridge. Brett Brown walked to the sidelines and called a timeout. "Okay, guys, I have to admit that I made a mistake. We shouldn't play a quick offense without any touch. So, let's change our play to ensure our offensive success rate first, and then go for a quick attack." After a pause, Brett Brown admitted his mistake. He then arranged, "In addition, our defense can be more aggressive, try to intercept the opponent's ball, go try to block the opponent's pass, try to prevent the opponent from breaking through." Brett Brown waved his hands and shouted. The players nodded. Brett Brown then took advantage of the last moment of the timeout to say some details, and then the timeout was over. The timeout ended, the two sides returned to the court, the game restarted, and the 76ers were 6 points behind. After Brett Brown rearranged the tactics, the 76ers offense also slowed down. Nkaway held the ball and advanced to the front court, slowly controlling the ball from the outside, looking for opportunities. Then Nkaway broke through John Wall and attracted the defense to pass the ball directly. An 11 still received the ball, but he did not completely shake off Trevor Ariza's defense. Ariza leaped forward and Angzi received the ball. Turn around for a jumper. The jumper moved a little backwards and escaped Ariza's interference. The basketball crossed an arc and fell straight into the basket. With a clear sound, Wachovia Arena suddenly screamed and cheered. Angzi's turnover jumper, the 76ers finally scored. At 9:5, the Wizards still had a 4-point lead. John Wall controlled the ball to the front court and stretched out his hand to direct his teammates to move. Nkaway tried a steal but failed, but John Wall took advantage of it. This opportunity, a quick start, broke through Nkaway's defense, and Angzi, who had been blocking the 45-degree angle, made up for it with a lateral shift and blocked John Wall. Wall scored the ball, Bradley Beal took the ball, and Nkaway made it up. However, Bill had to seize this empty jumper, and Nkaway rushed to interfere. Bill received the ball, adjusted his position again, and shot again. A jumper from 24 feet away, hit the net with a scream. 12:5. Bradley Beal scored the second three-pointer of the game and hit again. Bradley Beal, who was bewildered by Angzi's defense last season, has also improved a lot this season, with 2 consecutive three-pointers. Although there are reasons why Angzi missed him after defending, Beal's 2 three-pointers still showed his offensive firepower. After hitting the three-pointer, Beal waved his hands and celebrated wildly with a boo, as if they had won the game. The Sixers' offense is still slow. 15 seconds later, Nkaway breaks into the penalty area, but the layup is blocked by Mosengodet, who is defending, and John Wall, who is behind Nkaway, snatches it. Basketball. The 76ers' offense failed. Kenny Smith shook his head. The 76ers' rhythm slowed down, but at the same time, they also gave up control of the game to the Wizards. The Wizards firmly control the rhythm. The last game John Wall was defended by Angzi was a bit miserable. This game finally found a spot. He controlled the ball from the outside without hurriedly, and then another record. Second pass, assisted by Mosengodet, who finished the dunk, 14:5. The difference is being further opened. Brett Brown also didn't seem to be able to do much, so he could only stand on the sidelines and shout constantly. Angzi took the ball directly from the backcourt. He knew that he had to stand up at this time. Angzi got the ball, and the 76ers fell into a scoring shortage. Let's see if Angzi's individual singles can break the scoring shortage for the 76ers. With the ball rushing to the front, Angzi singles Trevor Ariza from the outside line. Evan Turner ran for a chance, but Angzi still chose to come by himself, turned and jumped, and made another fallback jumper and got in with a scream. To the basket. Again. Angzi scored the 7th point in the game. 14:7, the Wizards still lead by 7 points. The 7-point lag was not too big. After Angzi made a shot, he shouted, "Defense! Defend!" On the defensive end, the 76ers increased their horsepower and frantically rotated defenses, which almost blocked all of the Wizards' outside transfers. When the offensive time reached 22 seconds, the Wizards still failed to find a good opportunity, so John Wall moved forward. After taking a step, suppressing the buzzing sound of the timer, he forcibly threw the basketball out. With a bang, the shot hit the iron. John Wall missed his shot and rebounded. Whose rebound is it? Angzi jumped up from the crowd. The big yellow hand caught the basketball in the chaos. Angzi grabbed the rebound. Are the 76ers going fast? Charles Barkley had doubts, and Angzi also yelled in due course, "Hurry up." Evan Turner took the lead in the front court, and Angzi ran wildly with the ball, and followed closely behind. However, the 76ers returned quickly. Trevor Ariza came up directly from behind Angzi and stopped Angzi. Then, the other Wizards, the players, are also in place. The fast break did not succeed. Angzi could only slow down the pace, facing Ariza's defense with a short body. Then, he rushed forward and directly bounced a backward jumper. Clang, didn't enter. Angzi's back jumper missed. Rebound, Charles Barkley yelled. The inside line immediately jumped out a big tall man. Cole Aldridge grabbed the rebound and dunked the rebound with a bang. There was a bang from the sidelines. Great cheers. Cole Aldridge, he's done it. Super role player. Author, Yuen San Buletinji. Chapter 380. Once again defending the Wizards' offense, the sideline score remained unchanged at 14:9. W.Suim.Law. Angzi slipped a circle from the bottom line and slipped to the corner. Mka passed the ball to Angzi. Angzi broke through with the ball and opened a step away from Ariza. Then there was another emergency stop jumper and the basketball flew to the basket, clashed, and hit the iron again. This time Cole Aldridge failed to grab a rebound. Nene Galerio protected the rebound, and the Wizards continued to consume time in the game. Due to the Wizards' slow-paced style of play, the game is over half quarter here, and the 76ers are still behind. At this time, even Angzi's shooting is unstable, and Brett Brown looks a little anxious. An 11's shot missed again. Now he is 3 of 6 shots and the overall shooting percentage is still at 50%. Kenny Smith glanced at the data, then said, Charles Barkley then took the topic, but if Angzi continues with a missed shot, his field goal percentage will definitely decline. Looking at these 2 goals, Angzi's state is not very good. Kenny Smith nodded, and he agreed. After 2 consecutive misses, Angzi's state was even a bit depressed. This is not like Angzi's 4-game winning streak. Angzi continued to hit the iron, but it was not over yet. After the Wizards failed to attack, Angzi attacked with the ball and made a 3-pointer from the outside, finally scoring again. However, there was another 2-game tie, and the first quarter ended. Angzi made 4 of 9 shots in the first quarter, and his field goal percentage was less than 44.4%, which was a bit lower than Angzi's field goal percentage. But fortunately, Angzi's 3-point score relieved the 76ers' immediate need and reduced the difference to 2 points. Then, the 76ers stabilized the situation with a sudden burst of defense. The first quarter ended, the 76ers 22-24, 2 points behind the Wizards. Although Angzi shot 4 of 9 shots, he scored 10 points in the first quarter, still carrying the team forward. As soon as the second quarter came up, Angzi, who played the first quarter, was replaced and rested. The 76ers substitute played for 5 minutes. After a small loss to the Wizards bench, the Wizards led the 76ers by 5 points before Angzi came back on the court. The points difference is not big. The 2 teams played chaotically in the second quarter. The offensive battle turned into a chaotic battle, and the shooting rate was not very high. If you only look at the data, the game looks more like a defensive battle, but the commentary Charles Barkley of this game even thinks that this game is actually a rookie pecking, especially when the bench is on the offensive. However, Kenny Smith put forward a different view. The bench lineup is regarded as a rookie, but the main players of both sides are still playing very well. Offensive and defensive are very organized, at least the main lineup is considered a defensive battle. Charles Barkley subsequently agreed with Kenny Smith's statement, because the main players of both sides returned to play, the game became more rhythmic, but the rhythm is still controlled by the Wizards. An 11's first goal off the bench, he found an open opportunity from the outside. Substitute point guard Sean Livingston scored the ball to an 11, and an 11 jumped into a jumper. Angzi's open shot, this time I shouldn't hit the iron again, Charles Barkley yelled, but then, his crow's mouth worked. With a bang, Angzi's 3-pointer hit the backboard directly, and then bounced out of the basket, but didn't make it. Charles Barkley touched his big bald head and didn't know what to say. Angzi didn't even enter the open 3-pointer. It seems that he lost his touch. Kenny Smith said faintly, and then analyzed, this is Angzi's 3rd iron in a row. He has now hit 4 goals in 10 shots. His shooting rate is a bit bleak, and only 40% of his shots are left. It seems that in a short time he won't find his feel. Angzi did struggle a bit, and his shooting feel was a bit bad. After this 3-pointer, Angzi continued to hit the iron. In the first quarter, with a continuous 7 irons, his personal shooting data became 4 of 13 shots. In the last few minutes of the second quarter, Angzi only relied on 6 free throws and scored 5 points on 5 of 6 free throws. Counting the 10 points in the first quarter, Angzi still scored 15 points after halftime. Fortunately, although Angzi was hitting iron again and again, the Wizards were also hitting iron again and again. The two sides really played a defensive battle in the second half of the second quarter. Except for Angzi's opening 3-pointer, Angzi's other shots were all through his own breakthrough. It was made by spells, so although Angzi's hand feels poor, his condition is still very good. With Angzi's breakthrough inside kills, the 76ers were only 1 point behind the Wizards at halftime. In the third quarter, Angzi continued to feel poorly. He played for more than 5 minutes in the first half of the third quarter and only hit 1 goal in 3 shots. However, he made 3 more fouls and scored 6 points on 6 of 6 free throws, helping the 76ers to tie. The Wizards were then replaced by Brett Brown to rest. Evan Turner took the gun from Angzi and made a sudden shot. He scored 11 points in the third quarter and beat the score. In the final fourth quarter decisive battle, the defense became more and more fierce. Angzi was guarded strictly by the Wizards. The first goal of the fourth quarter was the 76ers' possession of the ball. Angzi held the ball, and Thaddeus Young gave Angzi a pick-and-roll screen. With the help of the screen, Angzi threw off Ariza and rushed into the inside. The masked Masengote was a foul. With a beep, the referee whistle. Still failed to score. Masengotart fouled, Angzi stepped to the free throw line, made 2 free throws, and the 76ers went ahead. Then, John Wall missed a layup and the 76ers played a fast break, but Evan Turner did not make a jump shot in the fast break. Trevor Ariza, who returned to the defense, grabbed the rebound and took advantage of the situation. With a fast break, John Wall made a fast break layup and the score was back to square one. At the free throw line, Angzi held the ball, shrugged his shoulders constantly, accelerated, received an emergency stop, and shot a jumper. There was an exclamation from the sideline, and Kenny Smith also opened his eyes wide and shouted, "Here is the ball." With a bang, the basketball bounced twice on the hoop, but eventually it bounced out and didn't make it. Kenny Smith couldn't help sighing. Angzi hit the iron again, making 5 of 17 shots, and his hit rate has fallen below 30%. On the field, Angzi shook his hand helplessly, and then turned back to defend. The game reached the end of the fourth quarter amidst various iron strikes. In the last 1 minute and 12 seconds of the game, the Wizards led by 1 point, but the ball belonged to the 76ers. Angzi broke through, followed by a point ball, and the basketball flew into Evan Turner's hands from a hidden angle. Turner made a mid-range jumper and hit with a scream. Charles Barkley shouted excitedly, "Evan Turner! A crucial goal." There are 55 seconds left in the game. 55 seconds. The competition suddenly became tense. John Wall's breakthrough, they are not going to consume time anymore, they come up quickly. It only took 11 seconds, Kenny Smith took a deep breath, and then his voice suddenly rose, "The ball is in." John Wall, he was the number 1 pick in the 2010 draft, and Evan Turner was the second place. At the critical moment, the number 1 pick and the second place broke out together. 44 seconds to see how the 76ers deal with. The 76ers did not call a timeout, they only had 1 timeout, so Brett Brown could only stand on the sidelines and shout constantly, asking his players to control the time. The outside line of Mkassam controlled the time. In order to give him a chance to make the last shot, Mkassam moved with 35 seconds left in the game. After a breakthrough, reaching the basket, the Wizards immediately organized a supplementary defense, and Mkawe was locked in the penalty area. He picked up the ball with both hands, flicked the right hand back, the basketball flew out and gave it to Angzi. Angzi. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Role Player. Author, Yuen San Buletinji. Chapter 381. Angzi. Kenny Smith exclaimed. Angzi made a jumper, with a bang. There was an uproar. Swimming.law. The rebounds have been taken by Trevor Ariza. Kenny Smith kept shaking his head. He thought that the 76ers shouldn't hand it over to Angzi. After all, Angzi had a bad feel in this game, and Angzi was again in the fourth quarter. A 0-for-2 shot. Although he scored a lot of points by making fouls, Angzi's shooting touch still hasn't recovered. The Wizards called a timeout, and they arranged a key goal tactic. But Brett Brown is still sober. He constantly asks his players to pay attention to defense, they still have a chance. Don't let them shoot three-pointers. Do your defense. After the timeout, the Wizards wasted time. When the last 10 seconds of the game were left, John Wall broke through to attract the defense, a second pass to the three-point line, Bradley Beal took a three-pointer, Charles Barkley Gao shouted, Wizards directly cast a three-pointer, they are going to kill the game directly. An 11 flew forward, and Brett Brown's arrangement was successful. The Wizards did shoot 3 points. Therefore, under the interference of Angzi's best effort, with a scream, Bradley Beal's three-pointer missed. Rebounds, everyone shouted. Cole Aldridge. He grabbed the rebound. The 76ers called the last timeout. When everyone was watching the rebounds, Cole Aldridge stood up again, leaped high, and took off his 16th rebound of the game. After landing, he called a timeout. After the timeout, the 76ers breathed a sigh of relief and fell behind by 1 point. With the last 9 seconds left in the game, they still have a chance to kill the game. Angzi walked slowly to the bench, his current statistics are 5 of 18 shots, but Angzi still scored 25 points by fouling. On the last shot, Brett Brown drew a few tactical moves on the tactical board, and then prepared the specific arrangements. Well, there are 9 seconds left in the game. We have a chance to kill the opponent. Brett Brown raised the tactical board in his hand, but because of lack of time, we can only arrange a singles tactic. Evan, you carry out the singles tactic. Brett Brown looked at Evan Turner, who was in good shape in this game, but Angzi stood up at this time. No, Brett, give me the ball. Evan Turner glanced at Angzi, did not speak or object to Angzi, he remained silent. Assistant coach Lloyd Pierce frowned and said, An, are you all right? An 11 nodded, of course. Brett Brown smiled, and then nodded, well, An, you come to execute this tactic, the other players pull apart, stack the strong side, and, you take the ball on the weak side, and single against the opponent. No problem, look forward to it. Angzi has always been a man with strong confidence. In this game, he was able to strike iron, but his shots were still resolute, and his shots at critical moments were even more unrelenting. In the end, he made 5 of 18 shots and hit 13 fine irons. Angzi's heart is also without the slightest volatility, he chose to believe in himself on the last ball, so he took the initiative to ask himself to come. The timeout is over, the 76ers serve from the sideline, the biggest question before the game, the 76ers and the Wizards, who wins or loses, whether the 76ers will end the winning streak, or the Wizards will continue to lose, the mystery is about to be revealed. At the final moment of the game, everyone was excited, including Charles Barkley and Kenny Smith. Charles Barkley began to explain the 76ers' final attack. The 76ers served from the sideline. They started a tactical move. According to Brett Brown's arrangement, the strong sides were stacked. Soon, one side of the court was filled with players from the two teams. An 11 stood at the innermost and was ready to start. Beep, the referee's whistle sounded, and the serve started. An 11 quickly stepped forward and rushed out of the baseline. The 76ers delivered the ball and it was an 11 who received the ball. Is it possible that Angzi, who made 5 of 18 shots, is going to complete the final lure? Kenny Smith felt a little weird. Angzi catches the ball. The Wizards have no one inside. He is about to start singles. The defender is Trevor Ariza. This game is where Trevor Ariza made Angzi 5 of 18 shots. Angzi keeps shaking, he has been making fake moves. Double hip dribble, Angzi's cross step. I couldn't pass Trevor Ariza. Time is running out. Angzi has accelerated. He rushed into the restricted area. Oh no. Emergency stop jumper. Time is up. Angzi's emergency stop jumper. It also has a slightly inclined arc, this is a backward jumper. Charles Barkley screamed, and then everyone could only see Angzi leaping high. Above the Wachovia arena, the basketball had already drawn an arc and flew to the basket. Charles Barkley stood up from the commentary, his mouth opened wide, and he didn't even dare to breathe. After a moment of silence, with a scream, and the beep of the timer, Wachovia suddenly broke out. He did it. He won the GME, Charles Barkley yelled suddenly, and then kept repeating a sentence. He won the game. He won the GME. He won the GME. At this moment, Angzi is standing on the court, receiving all the cheers and screams. At this moment, he is the king of Philadelphia. He did it. He did it. The young assistant coach Lloyd Pierce hugged the gray-headed Brett Brown and kept yelling. A few seconds ago, he was still questioning whether Angzi's state could be completed. This lore, a few seconds later, Angzi used a singles emergency stop and backward jumper to tell him that any doubts in front of Angzi are invalid. All are invalid. Angzi. 6 of 19 shots, the first 18 shots, he missed 13 goals, the last one, the most critical one, he hit. He lore the Washington Wizards brought 76 double kills the Wizards, the 76ers winning streak continues, and the dark horse continues to run wild. Kenny Smith summed up the game with excitement. Angzi played nearly 4 quarters of iron, the last goal exploded, and the 76ers won the game. Therefore, the best player in this game can only be Angzi. After the celebration on the sidelines, the fans were reluctant to leave, still cheering on the sidelines, or quietly watching Angzi being interviewed by reporter Craig Sagal. And, how does it feel to complete the lore? Angzi held that lore basketball in his hands and grinned and said, "It's cool." Craig Sager also smiled, and there was another cheer in his ears, because his interview was live, and the fans on the sidelines cheered when they saw it and heard it. Craig Sager asked a few other questions, and then ended the post-match interview. Angzi walked through the players' passage, gave a high five to a group of fans who were still waiting here, and then returned to the dressing room. Super Role Player. Author, Yuen San Buletinji. Chapter 382. Lore Wizards, Big Heart Angzi joined the 76ers for the first lore. The winning streak continues, and the dark horse continues to run wild. After Angzi's lore, North American media reports were concise and concise. The domestic media blew Angzi into the sky with a GIF picture with the headline, "The Strongest Battle, Angzi copied Michael Jordan's classic lore. Is he the real Jordan's successor?" Well, from the GIF picture, Angzi's lore is indeed a bit of Michael Jordan's meaning. He holds the ball from the outside, shakes, then dribbles the ball under his hips, accelerates to the inside, and finally makes a sudden stop and backward jumper. The action is clean and tidy, and the knife fall, lore the Wizards. It's okay to say that Angzi is Jordan's successor. After all, Angzi's fallback jumper can be considered to have taken over the inheritance of Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant, but Angzi, who has only played 5 good games, obviously cannot be regarded as such a flattery. It can be said that the domestic media has won and lost, and it is the same as some media in North America, such as ESPN. After the Angzi lore Wizards took the 5-game winning streak, ESPN once again issued a message saying that they despised the 76ers. The 76ers are now a strong team in the Eastern Conference, on par with the Heat and the Pacers. However, anyone with a discerning eye can see that ESPN is killing the 76ers. In any case, the 76ers are not strong enough to compare with the Heat and the Pacers in the East. They have won 5 games in a row and have more victories in the first 4 games. It was the players' outbreak. As for the game that defeated the Wizards, relying on Angzi's heaven-defying lore to win the game, the true strength of the 76ers can already be seen. What kind of team the Wizards are? After losing to the 76ers again, They still rank first in the Eastern Conference. They lost 4 straight at the beginning of the game without a win. Although the Wizards are considered to be able to make the playoffs in preseason predictions, they are in the current state of the Wizards. Bad is for sure, and the 76ers' difficult victory over the Wizards is enough to show that the true strength of the 76ers is being revealed. In the next game, the 76ers' opponent is the Rockets. The West is powerful. This season, Dwight Howard is introduced and the goal is directed at the championship. The hope for the 76ers to continue winning streak in this game is really too small, regardless of the inside or outside. Not dominant. So at this juncture, ESPN blew the 76ers to the sky, and the purpose was too obvious. Fortunately, the 76ers will lose a small game in the next game. If they are defeated by the Rockets, the 76ers will be kicked into the abyss by ESPN. Can the 5-game winning streak continue? After playing the Wizards, the 76ers got a 2-day break. After a day of training, the teammates discussed the next game. Because of the 5-game winning streak, the atmosphere in the 76ers is now very good, relaxed and happy. Everyone has a smile on their faces, including Spencer Hawes, who was placed on the bench. In the last game, Cole Aldridge scored 9 points, 17 rebounds and 2 blocks, which is considered to be a firm position. Now Spencer Hawes doesn't have much idea about the starter, and he is now acting as a substitute. There are still 1 or 2 singles opportunities in a game. Isn't it the Rockets? We all won the Heat. What's so great about the Rockets? But it won the Heat because the Heat are fighting back to back. The Rockets are different this time. They also took 2 days off. What if they rested for 2 days? Are they strong? We have won 5 games now, and they have lost 1. Angzi listened to the conversation in his ear, smiled and shook his head. The teammates packed up and left. Angzi also packed up and returned home. Mike Procpio and Tony Brown also arrived. In the small arena at Angzi's house, the extra training started again. Pass. Faster. Faster. More accurate, Mike Procpio's passing training is meticulous, Angzi panting and passing Tony Brown one-on-one. The difference is that Angzi will follow a route running, and Tony Brown's running route is not fixed, so Angzi's pass must find Tony Brown's running pattern. Tony Brown was also very tired. After running for a while, the two stopped to rest. Lying on the floor, Tony Brown took a breath and closed his eyes and said, "My old bones are really overwhelming." Then he opened his eyes and looked at Angzi, and, "Our contract expires in early December, right?" Angzi froze for a moment, reacted, and nodded immediately. "That's it? I got a new job in Dallas as an assistant coach for the Mavericks, so I don't want to renew it after the contract ends." This time an 11 was completely stunned. Tony Brown had been practicing with an 11 for almost a year. The two were already quite familiar. Now that Tony Brown suddenly asked to leave, an 11's mood must be very complicated. An 11 thought for a while and said, "Tony, you really gave me a sudden attack." Tony Brown laughed, and Mike Procpio on the side also laughed. "And, this can't be regarded as a sudden attack, there is still half a month away, I can tell you in advance." Tony Brown looked at Angzi. Angzi then looked at Mike Procpio. "Mike, you don't want to leave too, do you?" Mike Procpio nodded quickly, "You guessed it, but I am different from Tony. I decided to resume my career as a freelance trainer. After your contract ends in December, I will go to Miami." "Miami?" "Yes, Miami, LeBron James' agent came to me." An 11 nodded silently, and then seemed to be relieved. "Well, then I can only send you farewell, but Mike, the off-season training camp thing I said, won't you have to be pornographic?" Mike Procpio waved his hand, "Don't worry, for the off-season training camp, not only I will come, but Tony will also come." Tony Brown also nodded and agreed. That's good. Angzi breathed a sigh of relief, but in fact, he was worried again. After Mike Procpio and Tony Brown left, who should he find to help him with additional training and special training? After all, his own additional training and special training can't be stopped. Rested for a while, stood up and practiced passing for a while. Angzi only heard a ding sound, and the system prompted an upgrade. N11 was stunned for a moment, and then he was pleasantly surprised. I didn't expect the system to be upgraded at this time, but I think it should be a few technical upgrades that have been training, either passing the ball or hooking the shot inside. Angzi didn't try to guess too much, and after practicing for a while, it ended the day of extra training. A few hours later, the results of the upgrade came out, and the system showed that Angzi's passing has been upgraded. The passing attribute has been upgraded, and the system bonus has reached 60, but Angzi feels that this attribute can be further upgraded, because Mkaway has guided Angzi to pass before. With this bonus, a 5-point increase shouldn't be a problem, and it will even increase more. But Angzi sighed. This upgrade may be the last time he upgraded under the special training of Mike Procpio and Tony Brown. To be continued. Super Role Player. Author, Yuen-san Buletinji. Chapter 383. On November 8, 2013, Wachovia Arena, before the game started, there were cheers in the arena. Angzi is being interviewed by Doris Burke on the sidelines, while his teammates are warming up, and the Rockets are the same. The hot duo of the new season, the Madden combination, warmed up on the field while laughing and playing. It seemed that the relationship was very harmonious just after the team was formed. As the fans said, Warcraft has left Kobe and turned into a happy beast. N11 was interviewed on the sidelines and he unabashedly expressed his desire to continue winning streaks. Yes, we hope to continue winning streaks. 5 consecutive victories will not be the end point. We hope to see more winning streaks. 6 consecutive victories, 7 consecutive victories and even 8 consecutive victories. Angzi's words made the fans on the sidelines cheered, because this interview was live, and the content of Angzi's answer was displayed on the big screen, and the fans at the home field cheered for Angzi's bold words. The warm-up was over and the game was about to begin. On the Rockets side, Kevin McHale clapped his hands and called his players back together. Well, boys, the game is about to begin. In this game, our goal is very clear, to beat the 76ers by a big score. Kevin McHale waved his hands slowly, and then continued, James, this you have to defend the game seriously, and Angzi is not a simple opponent either. James Harden nodded immediately, he was convinced. Patrick, lock Michael Carter Williams, can you do it? Patrick Beverly nodded, of course, sir. So good, let's play, boys, let the 76ers understand the gap between us and them. The game has officially started. The home game of the Philadelphia 76ers. Wachovia has been filled with crazy 76ers fans. The starting lineups of both sides have already appeared. The starting lineup of the 76ers is point guard Michael Carter Williams, who scored. Guard Angzi, small forward Evan Turner, power forward Thaddeus Young and center Cole Aldridge. It is worth mentioning that this is Cole Aldridge's third start. In the first 2 games, he started with 5 points, 8 rebounds and 2 blocks in the first game, and 9 points, 17 rebounds and 2 blocks in the second game. It can be said to be a new discovery for the 76ers. This 10-year number 11 rookie is about to usher in an explosive season. This game Turner Sports sent a combination of old coaches of Doug Collins and Mike Flatero, among which Doug Collins was even the old coach of the 76ers. The starting lineup for the Rockets is point guard Patrick Beverly, shooting guard James Harden, small forward Chandler Parsons, power forward Terrence and center Dwight Howard. Since Dwight Howard joined, the Rockets have achieved a record of 5 wins and 1 loss, and their performance is quite impressive. The Rockets now have become the league's first-class team, enough to match the Spurs, Thunder and Heat. After analyzing the lineups on both sides, the game will officially begin. Dwight Howard won the jump ball and James Harden took the ball to the front court. James Harden faced Anzi. This season, Anzi fixed his position at the second position. With Kobe Bryant seriously injured and Dwayne Wade slipped, James Harden and Anzi became league shooting guards. James Harden, who broke out last season, was considered the #1 shooting guard of the season before the start of the season. However, as the season has progressed, Anzi's performance has been even better. The battle between the two major shooting guards is also the case. One of the highlights of the game. After the four major shooting guards have fallen a bit in the league. This season, Kobe is missing. The old shooting guard is only left with Dwayne Wade. Therefore, the shooting guard battle is about to start among young people. James Harden made a cross step from the outside, and when he didn't agree, he drew Anzi's defense and rushed into the three-point line. An 11 stepped sideways, stopped it, and pressed Harden tightly, but an 11 didn't dare to stretch out his hand indiscriminately. Harden's touch with porcelain had become his big trick. An 11 didn't want to start and was touched by Harden. Inside the three-point line, James Harden dribbled a few dribbles quickly, and then came 2 hip dribbles, and then another cross step, flashing past Anzi's defense, a sudden stop jumper shot directly, Anzi turned and pounced. Up. With a bang, Anzi's interference succeeded, and basketball hit the iron. Inside, Cole Aldridge and Dwight Howard entangled together. Cole Aldridge stuck Dwight Howard behind him, and then grabbed the rebound. With a rebound, the 76ers flew to the front court with the ball. In this game, Anzi can play the quick break he wants to play very happily, because the Rockets do not have the kind of master to control the rhythm, and the Rockets themselves are the kind of quick attack team, but they are fast. The fast break is more inclined to chaos, which is completely different from the 76ers' methodical offense. The 76ers played a block and cut offensive in the front court. Anzi and Evan Turner's crossover run quickly found an open space in the Rockets' weak defense. Anzi moved away from James Harden's defense and took the ball and shot. A scream hit. With the first goal in the opening game, Wachovia is used to cheering. With the Rockets' offense, Patrick Beverley took the ball to the front court, then handed it to James Harden and ran aside by himself. James Harden didn't force it anymore, took control for a while, and then a quick pass was passed. Chandler Parsons, who cut into the post, received the ball and avoided Cole Aldridge's blocks, layups. The Rockets also scored 2 points. The game continued. Nkaway took possession of the ball from outside. Anzi walked around Nkaway and then handed in hand to hand. After receiving the ball, he just threw Harden off under Nkaway's screen and rushed in. In the penalty area, Dwight Howard hurriedly made up the defense. The Rockets' inside defense was still very strong. An 11 swayed Howard with a lateral dribble, and then faked a true pass. The insider Cole Aldridge received the ball and dunked, and also scored 2 points. Next, the Rockets gave the ball to the inside Dwight Howard. As soon as Howard arrived at the Rockets, he had a lot of inside singles rights. It seemed to be better than the Lakers, but the inside played Cole Aldridge for a while. It didn't work. Turning around and making a hook, the basketball bounced on the hoop for a while, but finally it bounced out and didn't make it. Dwight Howard was about to rush forward. Anzi jumped out from the other side and hugged the basketball. With a rebound, Anzi took advantage of the situation and launched a fast break. With the cheers of Wachovia, the 76ers played their long-lost fast break. Anzi passed the ball to assist Evan Turner. Turner made a light deduction from the front court and scored 2 more points. The first quarter played a few rounds. The 76ers led the Rockets 6-2, and Anzi also participated in the 76ers' offense and defense, scoring 2 points, 1 rebound, and 2 assists. To be continued. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Role Player. Author, Yuen San Buletinji. Chapter 384. The opening lead, regardless of offense and defense, Anzi suppressed James Harden, the 76ers game became smooth, and the lead in the first quarter tended to expand. Anzi opened fire in the first quarter. After 2 consecutive assists in the opening game, he continued to break through Harden's weak defense. After the offensive rocket finally scored, Anzi took the ball and quickly passed Harden and rushed into the post to avoid Dwight Howard's. Defensively, completed a layup, 8:4, and the 76ers continued to lead by 4 points. Until now, James Harden still scored no points and had only 1 assist in his personal data. Therefore, for this ball, he once again wanted to play basketball, dribbling the ball with an extremely unique rhythm. For 2 consecutive hips, James Harden rushed forward and shook Anzi for a while, then stepped back and took a 3-pointer. Anzi stretched out his hand and reached out to interfere from a step away. But Harden had already aimed at the rim with a scream, hitting a 3-pointer, 8:7. Harden scored a single goal. Anzi took the ball directly from the backcourt, drove it twice, and also went straight out with a 3-pointer. Doug Collins exclaimed, the ball was obviously Anzi's honorable, but he felt that Anzi's shot was too impulsive. Anzi made a 3-pointer, and he actually had it. Swish, the ball is in. Anzi raised his hands, with an indifferent face, celebrating the 3-pointer. On the sidelines, the cheers were deafening, and Abby, who came to the scene to watch the match, also stood up, waving his hands and cheering for his boyfriend. Anzi returned a goal from James Harden, which was a morale boost. James Harden couldn't prevent Anzi at all. Mike Flatero explained Anzi's goal with his very special voice. Just as Mike Flatero said, Anzi's goal boosted the morale of the 76ers and made the defense better. Continuing the continuous rotation defense, James Harden avoided Anzi, faced Evan Turner, made a quick breakthrough, rushed to the 3-point line, stopped at the free throw line, and then jumped up and turned sideways. Shoot the basketball. In the diagonal stabbing, a Thaddeus Young and a Big Hat were shot, and the basketball came directly down Harden's head. Wachovia suddenly cheered again. Evan Turner grabbed the basketball and launched a fast break. Wachovia's cheers did not stop. Waves of noises were set off. Anzi was the first to rush to the front court. Evan Turner took the basketball. Throwing high, the two came to an aerial relay, and with a cry, an 11 dunked the basketball into the hoop. The point difference further expanded, the game became a bit one-sided, and the Rockets' weak perimeter defense was somewhat unable to withstand the 76ers' impact. Soon, the game reached 8 minutes and 51 seconds in the first quarter. Anzi scored again with a long 3-pointer, and his personal score reached 12 points. A high score is about to come. Kevin McHale called out at this point. His timeout. Kevin McHale had to call a timeout. At this point in the game, the 76ers had led the Rockets by 11 points and 11 points in the half quarter. For the Rockets, their offensive and defensive forces have collapsed, and they were beaten by Anzi alone. Up. Therefore, after the timeout, in the second half of the first quarter, the Rockets began to focus on defending Anzi. The main defense of Anzi was replaced by Chandler Parsons, and James Harden would often double-team Anzi. In this way, after the first quarter, the 76ers, 22 lead the Rockets by 14 points, Anzi scored 14 points alone, plus 3 rebounds, 5 assists, and 1 steal. In the first half of the second quarter, Anzi stayed off the court as usual to rest, and the Rockets also replaced the bench. Jeremy Lin, who was squeezed to the bench by Patrick Beverley, took the bench lineup and fought a pick-and-roll offense. In a short time, actually suppressed the 76ers bench. In the 7th minute of the second quarter, the Rockets narrowed the point difference to 8 points. Soon, Brett Brown took advantage of the dead ball to replace Anxi. Anxi played, the Rockets resumed their defense in the last few minutes of the first quarter, focusing on Anxi. This is the first time Anxi has encountered such a defense in the NBA. The ball is always double-teamed, and the offense with the ball is even more surrounded by multiple people, so the 76ers offense suddenly became very stagnant. The bench came on and scored 2 goals. The Rockets narrowed the point gap with a smoother offense. The 76ers still have 5 points left in the lead. The 76ers served in the backcourt. An 11 thought for a while and took the ball directly from the backcourt. In this way, the Rockets' defense would be a little difficult. Chandler Parsons was waiting for an 11 in the midfield, and Lugo who helped defend. Nibruel could only keep up with Jack Lauder, and in this way, Anxi's opportunity came. With the ball accelerating in the midline position, Anxi used his physical advantage to crush Chandler Parsons, squeezed Parsons, and rushed toward the three-point line. This charge directly rushed out of a gap. Ronnie Brewer hurriedly threw Jack Lauder and rushed over to make up for defense. Anxi didn't hesitate. Across, Jack Lauder took the ball from the three-point line, screamed, and shot through. The point difference suddenly expanded to 8 points. Jack Lauder. A three-pointer. At the scene, the DJ shouted. In the corner of the arena, Kevin and Tyrone leaped high, picked up their jerseys, and displayed the number on the jersey, number 99, Jack Lauder's number. Doug Collins flipped through the statistics. This was Anxi's 6th assist. As the game continued, Jeremy Lin broke through Sean Livingston and made a mid-range shot, but the basketball hit the edge of the basket and bounced out suddenly. Anxi near the free throw line jumped high and grabbed the rebound. Doug Collins took another look at the statistics. This was Anxi's 4th rebound. After taking off the rebound, the 76ers played a fast break. The free throw line was placed on the front court and Anxi directly threw away Chandler Parsons. The 76ers formed a 2-on-1 in the front court. An 11 made another pass. Jack Lauder catches the ball and dunks. With a bang, another 2 points. Jack Lauder. Dunk. The DJ yelled again at the scene. Kevin and Tyrone continued to show their jerseys, and Jim was a little jealous. Fortunately, DJ shouted again, assist from Anxi. Jim was excited to show off his number 7 jersey. Doug Collins put his chin on and said thoughtfully, this is Anxi's 7th assist. The halftime is not over yet. It seems that Anxi is about to create a personal assist record. Then Jeremy Lin once again used the pick and roll to break through Sean Livingston's defense. An 11 rushed up to make up the defense. With a copy, the basketball went directly to an 11's hands. Doug Collins continued to explain quietly, Anxi's steal, this is his 2nd steal of the game. The 2nd steal, this time Anxi took the lead, rushed to the front court, completed a cut and scored 2 points. Anxi's buckle succeeded, and the individual scored 16th. In addition, he had 4 rebounds, 7 assists, and 2 steals. The halftime is not over. Anxi showed his almighty side. After the 76ers played in Anxi, they suppressed the Rockets again. Kevin McHale called a timeout. To be continued. Super Role Player. Author, Yuen San Buletinji. Chapter 385. The 76ers have continuously fought back with fast breaks, and now they are 12 points ahead of the Rockets, with the last 2 minutes left in the second quarter. Mike Flatero summed up the current situation on the court. Doug Collins continued, almost everyone was saying before the game that the 76ers are finally going to end their winning streak and end their dark horse journey, but no one thought that 5 wins and 1 loss, with the league's first the Houston Rockets of the first point guard and the league's first center will be completely suppressed by the 76ers, especially when Anxi is on the court. The Rockets have almost no resistance. Although the Rockets have just fallen behind by 12 points and the halftime has not passed, 12 points are completely recoverable. But anyone with a discerning eye can see that the Rockets have been suppressed by the 76ers in all directions, or by an Anzi in all directions. Kevin McHale called a timeout, and after the timeout, he replaced James Harden. Harden reappeared. Kevin McHale felt that the Rockets' problem was offensive. In addition to replacing Harden, Kevin McHale also made other adjustments, such as feeding the insider Howard more. After the timeout, the Rockets' first goal was Dwight Howard's singles with the ball inside. His opponent was Spencer Hawes. Howard sat down and pushed Hawes away, took a turn, and gently put the basketball in. To the basket. Howard succeeded in singles, narrowing the 2 points gap for the Rockets. In the 76ers offense, Anzi held the ball, and Chandler Parsons was still defending Anzi, who clung to Anzi firmly. Chandler Parsons posted very deadly. Anzi held the ball for a while, and gradually turned to face Parsons sideways, then suddenly dashed towards Chandler Parsons' right side, and upon seeing this, Dealey Parsons quickly took a step back. And at the moment he retreated, an 11 quickly pulled back, leaning on Parsons, turning around, and then a cross step. Parsons had completely lost the center of gravity on the defensive end. After an 11 cross steps, one accelerated. Dropped Chandler Parsons. But the Rockets' defense was not over yet. After Anzi passed Parsons, the Rockets' backup power forward Donatas Motijunas made up. Parsons, who was behind Anzi, adjusted and quickly wrapped up. The Rockets' Dwight Howard's inside line is eyeing. Therefore, after being double-teamed, Anzi chose to pass the ball again. Anzi's pass, Thaddeus Young's mid-range shot, scored. Anzi's 8th assist, the Rockets' blockade of Anzi made Anzi continue to refresh his assist data. At the end of the second quarter, Anzi grabbed a rebound and passed the ball again in the fast break, but Sean Livingston's mid-range shot failed. The halftime whistle sounded and the 76ers led the Rockets by 12 points at halftime. 16 points, 5 rebounds, 8 assists and 2 steals. This is the data from Anzi halftime. During the intermission, teammates also teased Anzi and encouraged several main players to help Anzi make a triple-double. Anzi just smiled, and didn't care. However, at the beginning of the second half, Anzi started to rebound and assist with a resolute look. With the first goal of the third quarter, the Rockets continued to let Howard play singles inside, but this time Howard's opponent became Cole Aldridge, an opponent who was at least evenly matched in size and strength. Then, Howard turned to the basket and was interrupted by Cole Aldridge, but didn't make it. The basketball fell from the hoop, and Anzi jumped out of thin air and grabbed the rebound. The triumphant little eyes seemed to say, "Rebound 6/." Howard missed a single game, the 76ers quickly attacked, transferred the ball several times from the outside, and found an opportunity. Evan Turner's long-range two-pointer made a precise two-pointer, but the ball had nothing to do with Anzi, because after the basketball passed Anzi's hands, it took 2 laps before it was handed over to Evan Turner, and finally hit the score 2 points. A two-pointer hit, the 76ers held a 14-point lead, and the game continued. The Rockets fell into a continuous scoring drought. James Harden had to stand up, force a breakthrough in Anzi, Porsey got a foul, walked to the free throw line, and hit 2 free throws against the boos of Wachovia Arena. Anzi was a little depressed, and the best way to vent his depression was to return Harden on the offensive end, so Anzi took the basketball from the back court, took control of the front court, and shot Harden short. Harden in Anzi's singles is actually not that difficult. He only used a probing step and a cross step, and he passed Harden directly, then rushed into the three-point line, took a jumper, and the basketball went into the basket with a scream. Basket. The difficulty is not great, so Anzi still feels uncomfortable. It just so happens that Harden still wants to continue playing Anzi singles. That's the opportunity. James Harden's outside singles, continuous crotch dribble. See how Angzi responds when James Harden dribbles his crotch. It means he is about to break through. So Mike Flatero's implication is, how will Angzi respond to James Harden's obvious intention to commit a foul? Angzi also quickly gave the answer. Harden made another crotch dribble, then accelerated, rushed into the three-point line against Angzi's defense, and then hugged the ball with both hands, and rushed in like a dynamite bag. At this time, as long as Harden raises his hand, the referee's whistle will sound immediately. Just when everyone closed their eyes and didn't want to see an 11 back 2 fouls in a row, an 11 slammed his hand and cut towards the basketball. With a crisp sound, the basketball rushed into contact with the floor. Mike Flatero yelled, "Angzi's cut off the basketball in James Harden's hands." Quick break. Angzi's speed is very fast. The 76ers are 2-1 in the front court. The Rockets only have Jeremy Lin back to the defense. Jeremy Lin quickly showed his brushed defensive side while hesitating to take a few steps towards Angzi, then seeing Angzi about to pass, he stepped towards Mkaway on the other side. Step, and then beautifully passed by Angzi and Mkaway. Angzi didn't come by himself either. He chose to pass the ball. Mkaway caught the ball and dunked the basket. The 76ers scored 2 more points. And this pass of Angzi became the absolute proof that he wanted to make a triple-double, because Angzi could obviously come by himself. Mkaway scored. Angzi also got his 9th assist of the game. The double-double is not far away. Then, Harden scored the ball from the outside to Jeremy Lin, who broke through with the ball, attracted the defense and then scored the ball. Chandler Parsons took a three-pointer and hit the rebound with a bang. The basketball bounced out quickly. Angzi grabbed the rebound, 7/. The Rockets still didn't score, and then, the 76ers made another wave of fast offense. Mkaway scored a three-pointer from the outside. Kevin McHale called out a timeout again because the point difference had reached 19 points, which was 1 point short. It's almost 20. To be continued. Super Role Player. Author, Yuen San Buletinji. Chapter 386. Mobo Chinese. The 19-point difference already means that the Rockets are on the verge of a crash. Kevin McHale's timeout is still timely, at least not widening the difference to more than 20 points. After the pause, Kevin McHale sprinkled some chicken soup, while consuming the momentum of the 76ers, while asking the Rockets to pass more on the offensive end and play more success rate, and then directly replaced Jeremy Lin. Because Kevin McHale believes that the Rockets now need Patrick Beverley's defense. After the timeout, the Rockets' offensive rhythm slowed down, and there was no more fast break with the 76ers all over the world. Harden slowly passed the time with the ball from the outside, and the last pass was passed to Chandler Parsons. Chandler L. Parsons made a mid-range shot and the Rockets finally scored. With a two-pointer, the 76ers continued to speed up the attacking rhythm at the request of Brett Brown. Angzi was in good shape in this game. After taking 2 shots from the outside, Thaddeus Young pulled out and gave Angzi a pick and roll. After the pick and roll, Angzi a straight three-pointer from 24 feet away. Wachovia suddenly cheered, because the point difference finally became 20 points. Although the Rockets scored a rare goal, Angzi's three-pointer still brought the point difference to 20 points. Kevin McHale was a little anxious. He kept walking back and forth on the sidelines, then pointed to the court and asked his players to slow down. James Harden is a master of chaos. Although he has the ability to control the rhythm, he is very ordinary. After a while outside control, Harden speeds up through Angzi's defense and squeezes Angzi to send the basketball out. With a beep, the referee's whistle sounded, and Harden committed another foul by Angzi. Angzi was a little helpless. Fortunately, his total number of fouls was not high in this game, otherwise he would have to leave now. The 76ers fans in the arena gave James Harden a full boo, and Harden made another 2 free throws with the boo, and the difference came to 18 points. Defensive defense, Kevin McHale gathered his hands and yelled, covering his mouth. For the Rockets, the most important thing now is their defense. Anzi controlled the ball from outside. McHale was uneasy about Harden's defense, so the Rockets defending Anzi became Patrick Beverley. Patrick Beverley's height was a disadvantage, but he always used various small moves to harass Anzi. This makes Anzi a little irritable. After holding the ball for a while, an 11 rushed forward, followed by a step backward, and another three-pointer. With a bang, the ball didn't score. The inside line made two roars. Under the pressure of Dwight Howard, Cole Aldridge made a heavy buckle, which triggered a tsunami in the arena. Cole Aldridge made it up. The 76ers continue to maintain a 20-point lead. Time is running out. There is only 1.5 minutes left before the 76ers can completely lock the victory in this game. Yes, the Rockets didn't have much to do in the face of the 76ers' fast offense and rotation defense. The offense and defense were all suppressed by the 76ers. There is no much suspense about the outcome of the game, unless James Harden has 35 seconds and 13 points. McGrady is in possession, otherwise it will be difficult for the Rockets to narrow the current 20-point difference. Doug Collins smiled, yes, I think the only suspense now is whether Anzi can win a triple-double. As far as I know, Anzi has never won a triple-double in his career. Triple-double, this will be the first triple-double of his career. Mike Flatero nodded, yes, Anzi's current data is 21 points, 7 rebounds, 9 assists and 3 steals. He is only 3 rebounds and 1 assist away from his first triple-double in his career. As Doug Collins and Mike Flatero discussed, Anzi's 10th assist came as scheduled. After Dwight Howard scored inside singles, the point difference once again became 18 points. Anzi held the ball from the backcourt and controlled the front court. Chandler Parsons made up. Anzi broke through to attract the defense, and then hit the ground. Pass the ball, away from beyond the three-point line catches the ball and shoots. With a scream, Wachovia Arena suddenly boiled. McAway's three-pointer. It's in. The 76ers took a 21-point lead. This is Anzi's 10th assist. Both points and assists are in double figures. Now only the last 3 rebounds are left. Anzi's goal is indeed a triple-double, but for several rounds, the Rockets and the 76ers have scored consecutive goals and will not give Anzi a chance. During this time, Anzi scored another assist, and the number of assists came to 11. Then, the Rockets attacked repeatedly and finally made mistakes. At the end of the third quarter, Anzi grabbed 2 rebounds in a row, only 1 rebound from the triple-double. At the end of the 3 quarters, the 76ers led the Rockets by 27 points. At the beginning of the fourth quarter, Anzi received bad news. The Rockets chose to abandon the game. They replaced the main force and replaced all the substitutes. Anzi was immediately depressed. Off the court, Brett Brown also began to prepare for substitutions. The 5 substitutes walked towards the technical table, apparently preparing to replace all the main players as soon as the ball was dead. Anzi glanced at it, and suddenly felt that his triple pair was about to fly. There was no dead goal at the beginning of the fourth quarter. The 2 teams played 2 rounds. Anzi still did not grab a rebound, but the score difference was further opened to 30 points. Seeing that the Rockets bench looks bad and wants to forcefully create a dead ball, an 11 feels that he must use his genius and imagination. In the 76ers offense, Anzi protected the basketball sideways while reaching out to direct his teammates to move. Soon, his teammates moved on the right side to open a large area. Anzi singled out Ronnie Brewer. There is almost no suspense in this heads-up, but Ronnie Brewer still put on a serious defensive posture and stood firmly in front of Anzi. An 11 dribbled under the crotch, a rhythmic dribble sounded, and then a cross step, suddenly accelerated, an 11 directly past Ronnie Brewer. Anzi passed Ronnie Brewer. This is the ball. Mike Fratello yelled, but the next second, he saw a scene with spicy eyes. Anzi threw the basketball directly to the hoop, then quickly took off and caught the basketball in the air. In that second, Anzi's technical statistics jumped a bit, and he had an extra rebound. Doug Collins laughed, ha ha ha. Anzi threw and grabbed himself, and finally got the last rebound. The next second, Anzi, who received the basketball, came and changed his hands, waving the basketball with his left hand and smashing it towards the hoop. After the kick, the crotch changes hands and dunks. Anzi's triple-double brushing is not too deliberate. However, as soon as Mike Fratello's voice fell, Anzi's dunk tragically hit the edge of the basket, unexpectedly bounced. With a bang, the 76ers fans burst into laughter, and the commentary was also full of laughter. Ha 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 ha, Anzi has fun. Ha ha ha. To be continued. MaleProtagonist, super role player. It only represents the viewpoint that the author Yi Venson does not know. If the content is found to violate the national laws, please delete it. The position is only to provide a healthy and green reading platform. Thank you all. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Role Player. Author, Yi Venson Bulatinji. Chapter 387. With 23 points, 10 rebounds, 12 assists, and 4 steals, Anzi got his first triple-double of his career as he wished, although this triple-double was a bit shameful. Of course, the disgrace is just because Anzi's last board dunk didn't make it. If he did, Anzi's triple-double was still perfect, and that goal might even become the best goal of the regular season. So, the most it's a pity that the goal was not scored. After the game, Anzi was interviewed, and smiled on his face when he talked about the triple-double that was a milestone for him. Yes, this is the first triple-double of my career, but it's definitely not the last. What are your thoughts on this victory? I think this is our 6th consecutive victory. I said before the game, we will strive to continue to win, and now we have done it. In the future? Of course we won't keep winning in the future, but we will win most games. Did you change your playing style because of the triple-double? No, I only have one style of playing, and that's how the team wins. I just play it. Anzi's ability to deal with reporters is already at the top of the league. Numerous reporters in North America took a look at the notes in their hands and found that they could not find a topic that could pick up saliva. The press release based on the notes would only be a cliché. Articles, such as Anzi's arrogant words to continue winning streak, or Anzi's arrogant words to continue to win triple-doubles or something. After defeating the Rockets at home, the 76ers winning streak turned into 6 games, starting with 6 consecutive victories, and the 76ers still ranked first in the league. After the game, Anzi returned home and found that he had 1 more rebound but 2 fewer assists. Ray Allen's assist record was 13, while Anzi's personal assists were 12 in the last game. Only 2 can break Ray Allen's assist record. The game is over. Anzi suddenly regrets and regrets. The thing is that he failed to keep all the stats of Ray Allen in mind. When the game was about to break, 1 or 2 more brushes would break a record and complete an upgrade. Thinking of upgrading, Anzi thought about the new personal trainer. Anzi had already mentioned Ivor Clark before, but Ivor Clark said that things were not easy to handle because it is mid-season and free trainers basically all have their own jobs. So Anzi is likely to train alone for a month or 2. Anzi thought for a while, he could only wait. The second day after playing the Rockets, the 76ers embarked on their away journey, and then they will continue to challenge the Cavaliers, first challenge the Cavaliers away, and then return to the home court again to meet the Cavaliers at home. But before the game against the Cavaliers, Turner Sports' popular show Shaq's Big Five was broadcast. Turner's 4 major commentators, Shaquille O'Neal, Charles Barkley, Kenny Smith, and Mike Bryn appeared in front of the camera. After teasing each other for a while, Charles Barkley said, "Shaquille, the latest week's Shaqtin' a fool," he made a please gesture. Then, Kenny Smith and Mike Bryn kept repeating the phrase "Shaqtin' a fool." Shaquille O'Neal looked awkward, pretending to be serious, straightened the information in front of him, and then cut the picture. Here comes the 5 most embarrassing video screens. First place, Thunder legend Kendrick Perkins, "Oh. Ha ha ha." Outside the screen is a burst of laughter. In the screen, after receiving the basketball, Kendrick Perkins kept moving and moved 7 times. 8 steps. There are also players in the 76ers who will pay attention to this show, because this show is the first NBA comedy show, produced by Shaquille O'Neal, and the number of viewers is already a lot. Previously, there were players in the 76ers on this show. Kawhi, he relied on the wonderful performance of a pass to the bench player in the second game of the regular season, boarded this show. On the bus heading to the Cleveland hotel, a group of players gathered and laughed as soon as they heard that the program was updated. The show was short, and it reached the final goal very quickly. Spencer Hawes's voice came from O'Neal, "The final goal, the finale, Angzi from the Philadelphia 76ers." Angzi looked boredly outside the bus. Cleveland is indeed the country among the American population, and it does seem to be at odds with the prosperity. But at this time, Angzi heard his name from Spencer Hawes' cell phone, and he opened his mouth in surprise. "What?" And the group of teammates surrounding Hawes had long been arguing, "Oh. N. Actually it is N. Don't look at it, I already know it. It must be the ball he threw and dunked. Yes, that ball is so funny." N11 also swiftly leaned over. Sure enough, what was displayed on the phone was the ball that Angzi threw and self-deducted. In conjunction with the laughter of the 4 major commentators on Turner Sports, Angzi suddenly discovered that his ball was unexpectedly "It's so funny." "Damn, these unscrupulous commentators." N11 cursed, but there was a smile on his face. "Haha, and, congratulations on being on the list." "Congratulations." Seeing this group of teammates with malicious smiles on their faces, N11 cursed inwardly, a group of unscrupulous teammates. Angzi's self-throwing and self-buckling boarded the Shaq's top 5, so there was more discussion about the 76ers game against the Rockets and the Angzi triple-double, and the 76ers who challenged the Cavaliers away received more attention. The Cavaliers have the ambition to break into the playoffs this season. For this reason, they chose to take over Andrew Bynum, who left the 76ers free transfer, and hope that Bynum and Kelly Irving will form an inside and one outside team. The star combination, plus the addition of super point guard substitute Jarrett Jack, and the growth of last season's 4th pick Dion Waiters, the arrival of number 1 pick Anthony Bennett. However, reality gave the Cavaliers a slap in the face. The record of 2 wins and 4 losses since the start of the game is okay. After all, only 6 games have been played. The season is still very long. Everything is possible, but the most desperate thing for the Cavaliers is the champion. Show Anthony Bennett's performance. The Nets won the first game. It seems that the situation is very good, but Anthony Bennett made 0 of 5 shots, 2 points, and 5 rebounds. The performance was bad, but it doesn't matter. The team after winning, Cleveland was happy, and they blamed the poor performance of the number 1 pick as a running-in problem. In the second game, the Bobcats lost. Anthony Bennett made 0 of 3 shots, 0 points, and 1 rebound. The grievance of losing made Cleveland fans discover Anthony Bennett's poor state, but they still maintained their confidence. Then, the team continued to lose in Game 3. Anthony Bennett made 0 of 6 shots. In Game 4, the Cavaliers beat the Timberwolves by 1 point, but Anthony Bennett made 0 of 3 shots and entered 4 games in the league and still scored no balls. Knowing that in the 5th game, the Cavaliers lost to the Bucks, Anthony Bennett made 1 of 5 shots and finally got a goal, but at this time, Cleveland fans were already desperate for Anthony Bennett. In the sixth game, Anthony Bennett played only 6 minutes, and the Cavaliers were about to give up the number 1 pick. In this game, the Cavaliers directly did not include Anthony Bennett on the active list. They ranked a strongest lineup. The goal is to win. To be continued. Super Role Player. Author, Yuen San Buletinji. Chapter 388. 3 hours later, the Cleveland Quicken Loans Arena, with the cheers of the fans, the buzzer of the final timer rang, and the game was over. The Philadelphia 76ers lost 120-127 away from the Cavaliers with 7 points. They ushered in their first defeat of the season. The Clevelands stood on the sidelines and celebrated the victory wildly. The Clevelands believed that they had defeated the league's first place, so it seemed very impressive. Excited, Anzi patted Nkaway on the shoulder, and whispered, "Let's go, Michael." Nkaway nodded, and followed Anzi to the player channel. After 6 consecutive victories, the 76ers finally lost. Everyone was relieved, including the 76ers themselves. Finally lost. The 76ers will not be entangled when the first defeat will come. They can enjoy play, and then strive for victory in every game. At the press conference after the game, Anzi said, "This is how the NBA game is. There are losses and losses. Although the winning streak is over, the regular season will continue. We will continue to work hard to win." A day later, at the Wachovia Arena, the 76ers defeated the Cavaliers with a 108-79 score and found the field. As a result, after the opening 8 games of the new season, the 76ers are 7 wins and 1 loss. They are still number 1 in the league plus number 1 in the East. The Heat are in poor condition. They have lost 3 games in the first 7 games and are currently 4 wins and 3 losses. Can be ranked in the middle reaches of the East, and the East is the second in the East is the Pacers with 6 wins and 2 losses in 8 games. They only lost 1 game more than the 76ers. In the West, the Spurs ranked first. Their record is the same as the 76ers. They are 7 wins and 1 loss, and only lost 1 game. It just so happened that the 76ers' opponent in the next battle was the Spurs. Anzi is about to face the old owner, and I am still a little nervous, but I am nervous and a little excited. The Spurs sent staff 2 days in advance to arrange the ceremony for Anzi to accept the championship ring at home. By then, the 76ers will manage the floor will also invite some Philadelphia celebrities and 76ers to participate in the ceremony, including Allen Iverson. Allen Iverson has just returned from Turkey. He has ended his Turkish league journey. He is about to announce his retirement in the near future. This time he returned to Philadelphia. His intention was not to participate in Anzi's championship ring collection ceremony. In fact, Anzi's championship ring. The collection has nothing to do with the 76ers, and the celebrities invited by the 76ers are just a small mess, just to prevent the scene of the day from looking embarrassing. The championship ring receiving ceremony, after all, is also a ceremony. The arrival of Allen Iverson was a bit uninvited, but Anzi also welcomes such uninvited ones. The day before the game, Allen Iverson contacted Anzi, and Allen Iverson visited Anzi's home. After all, it was the place where I lived. Iverson parked the car in the parking space behind the villa, got out of the car, then opened the rear door, and a little boy, 1.3 meters tall, came out from behind. Anzi and Abby were already ready to meet him. Iverson took the little boy's hand and pointed towards Anzi. "Isaiah, hurry up and call uncle and aunt." The little boy named Isaiah was shy and refused to speak for a long time. An 11 smiled and touched his head. "Allen, welcome back." Iverson smiled. "I'm just here to take a look and see what the new leader of the 76ers looks like." Anzi touched his nose. Iverson suddenly remembered something, and pulled Isaiah in his hand again. "By the way, this is my youngest son, Isaiah." "Isaiah?" How old is he? 5 years old. Angzi nodded. He was 5 years old and 1 meter 3 or 4. It seemed that he would be a good material for playing basketball in the future. Come in together, I prepared a snack with Abby. Iverson nodded, and then some followed an 11 into the door. This mansion, Iverson, is very familiar. He looked around and found many places that Angzi and Abby had changed. He smiled and pointed out one by one, while the little Isaiah held a plate toward his mouth. Stuffed with snacks. Pushing a room on the second floor, Allen Iverson saw a somewhat empty room in which Angzi's trophy was placed. Trophy showroom. Hearing Iverson's voice, an 11 nodded. Very good. Iverson looked around. I also won the MVP trophy for the rookie challenge, but when it was in the second grade, you were in the first grade, and you did better than me. The best sixth man, the most improved player, I don't have any. Angzi put in a word, I hope there is none like you. Allen Iverson smiled. Then Allen Iverson saw Angzi's championship ring. This is your first championship ring, right? An 11 nodded. Really not bad. He turned his head again and saw the copy of the championship trophy and the finals MVP trophy. Angzi found that since Iverson entered this room, his emotions were a bit uncontrollable. A few minutes later, Allen Iverson left the small room, and then went to the small arena with Angzi. Angzi has also made some minor changes in the small arena, such as replacing the floor with a 76 ERS style floor and replacing the basket with a new one. Standing on the sidelines and chatting a few words, Iverson's hands were itchy, and smiled and invited Angzi to fight, and, come 2 games. No problem. Half an hour later, Allen Iverson and an 11 collapsed on the floor of the arena exhaustedly. Abby pushed the door and glanced, with a funny face. And, you lost. Angzi raised his hands strenuously and touched his nose. He did lose. In the bullfight on the street, Angzi was miserably abused by Iverson. In the opening game, he lost 3 goals and won by 11 goals. Angzi returned 2 goals. Then Iverson beat Angzi through his crossover. 8 goals, 11:2, Angzi defeated miserably. And, are you academic? Yes it is. No wonder those things on the street, you don't understand at all. Angzi stopped speaking this time. Iverson raised his hand to support the ground and stood up. An 11 also stood up and thought about it for a while and asked, Allen, what are you going to do after you retire? Iverson smiled, I will play around and open a training camp during the off-season to earn some money. An 11 suddenly thought of something, and he said abruptly, you want to open a training camp? Or, do you ask me to practice hands first? Iverson was stunned for a moment, and then reacted. An 11 was asking him for guidance, so he pointed to an 11 and laughed, tricky kid. An 11 thought that Iverson would not agree. After Iverson laughed, he nodded suddenly, well, although you kid is a bit treacherous, since you are the new boss of the 76ers, I agree once, what are you going to learn, hurry up and say. Angzi answered without hesitation, breakthrough. To be continued.